Hey, it's vlog time. Wild, wild speculating vlog time theories and um, the intention of this video is not to hold back at all. Um, Going down deep down the rabbit hole with a theory of mine. I'm getting it's gaining traction with me as time goes by. So so I was watching some Interstellar stuff earlier on, the movie Interstellar, and I always find myself coming back to Interstellar simply because of the Hans Zimmer soundtrack. It's fantastic music to that movie, and so I found myself watching a clip from the movie. Michael Caine's character is like, "We're not supposed to save the Earth. We're meant to leave it." Just that one simple little line there. Triggered off a whole series of, like an hour's worth of thought about um, a lot of things. So I thought, let's do a vlog. I haven't formulated everything into a clear, I haven't got anything written down yet. I haven't got a clear piece of writing. So fragmented bits and pieces here and there, but if I was to piece this together, I would say you start in the past, which leads on to something else, which leads on to something else. So I'll start in the past. So really, you've got to go back and talk about human origins, keeping in the back of your mind at the whole time, the movie Interstellar and the sort of vague plot line of that movie. Um, I'm not at all convinced myself that human beings originated on this planet. I said, this is going to be far out stuff here. I'm going to get straight into it. There's no gentle leading in or anything like that. I was just going to get straight into it. I don't really buy the Richard Dawkins explanation that we evolved from fish. I don't buy the biblical religious explanations. Um, you see, to me, you take a look. I know we haven't always been like this, but modern day humans, living high-rise apartment blocks. Everyone is squished in, and everyone's living on top of one another. If you believe the plans for the future, they're those in control want everybody living in even smaller, tighter compartments, and living spaces that are no bigger than a broom cupboard. And, uh, something doesn't strike me as being right about all of that. Are we meant to be living like sardines in a can? The thing is, two-thirds of the surface of the Earth is covered in ocean, and humans appear to be a land-dwelling species. We have a lot more involvement on the land than we do on the ocean. So we've got massive great oceans out there, the Atlantic, the Pacific. Um, Apart from the odd ship, we're not making any use of that massive ocean space out there. Not even at the subnautica level where, do some underwater building of bases and towns and cities. There's none of that. So the humans are squished on the land on this planet, and there's more water than land on this planet. So it doesn't sit right with me. We call this home for now, maybe, but maybe it wasn't always so, and it won't always be that way. So, so my theory is rather than evolving from fish, God creating Adam and Eve and that stuff, um, I'm leaning more towards the following, how we ended up on Earth, human origins, because there's another fascinating aspect of all of this is after all of these years of human evolution, there is still no one clear 100% de facto explanation for the origin of humans. So that means what? Guesswork. Because the further back in time you go, the more muddied the waters become. So it's very difficult to, like when you start studying ancient history and things, very difficult to get anything clear. Because the further back you go, the more blurry it gets. So, and the more difficult it is to get historically accurate. So my wild theory right now that I'm quite fond of pursuing. You look at the planet Mars, today not really hospitable to life, does have a thin atmosphere. Um, but in the dim distant past, Mars may have been more hospitable to life. There's there's a lot of research and what have you, People say that surface water once existed on Mars. Um, so I got this theory that life used to exist on Mars, and it was a lot like us. Um, so imagine that you're on Mars a very long time ago, and you can tell that there's gradual changes happening to your world, and people there have projected forward. Oh, we're going to be in serious trouble if we stay here. Um, Extinction looms. What can we do about it? Well, what you would do about it back then is you would look around your neighborhood and see if there's any other viable worlds to go to. So, a very long time ago, pre-life on Earth, you're on Mars and you're looking for another habitable world because you've got to move. Just the conditions are changing on the planet you're on. Oh, look what we've got right over here, within the neighborhood. Just a relatively short space flight away. Um, Cosmetically speaking, it is a very short distance between Mars and the Earth. Um, we'll repopulate ourselves, that little blue planet over there. Ticks all the boxes. Um, Minor differences and what have you, if you allow for, yeah, okay, the gravity's different between Earth and Mars. And if they come to Earth, um, yeah, you've got to factor that in. They might have compensated for that initially. And after living on Earth for a period of time, you would acclimatize. After a few generations and what have you, that would no longer be a problem anymore. To get used to the difference in the sort of air quality, the differences in the atmosphere, you do eventually acclimatize. So I think it's well within the realms of possibility that we currently are the ancient descendants of Martians. So it could have been Martians that originally populated this planet. Certain problems with the theory, like well, what happened to the ships they came in then? So, um, If they had the spacefaring technology, then why don't we have it now? Well, we may still have it now. Who knows? You know, Area 51 and all that. Maybe the exodus from Mars to Earth was like a temporary one-off thing. They had the exodus because it's a relatively short distance across space. You wouldn't need particularly advanced craft to do it. And when they got here, decided that Earth was going to be the new home. And, we don't need the spacecraft technology anymore. So I'm running with that theory at the moment regarding the origins of life on Earth. And then we come back to Interstellar. So that's going back to the past. Now we come to the present, because you hear a lot of the environmentalists in particular, oh, we've got 10 years to save the planet, or whatever it is. So there's an awful lot of talk of saving the planet right now. Well, I postulate that the world's population is rapidly approaching 8 billion people. And there's a problem with pollution. And what's going on what's being bandied around at the moment because of the virus pandemic and a lot of things being shut down. Oh, the pollution's cleared all over the place, various different countries. Oh, the pollution levels are not so bad anymore. Well, I don't think the answer would be locking everybody down and shutting down most industries in order to solve the climate problem. So there's got to be other factors. If you're dealing with a world that's becoming increasingly overpopulated or increasingly polluted, you come up with some ideas to try and deal with those two issues. And if it's not possible to deal with those issues effectively, there's another idea. And that other idea is get our arses out there into space and look for other habitable. It'll start with creating a human colony on the moon and then a human colony on Mars. And we branch out from there, the solar system, and if we eventually become capable of interplanetary travel, intersystem travel, like off to the Andromeda Galaxy or wherever, LV426 or whatever. Yeah, great. Man must explore. Neil Armstrong, 1969, one small step for man. Well, then it's about time more steps were taken. I'm hearing stuff at the moment about, there's another mission to the moon being planned shortly. Yeah, but that's, well, some people don't think that even that happened in 1969, but let's assume for a moment that they did go in 1969, right? It's already been done. Okay, we need more ambition. We need more ambition than just we're going back to the moon. Well, didn't you do that in 1969? The computer power inside the Apollo spacecraft was no greater than a calculator at the time. We've got far more powerful computer technology available to us now. We could be more ambitious than going back to the moon. Already been done. No need to reinvent the wheel. So say So the environmentalists and some of the solutions that they're coming out with to save the planet. But then you take a look at the movie Interstellar, and you've got Michael Caine saying, "We're not supposed to save the planet. We're supposed to leave it." I think we are supposed to leave it. We got to get our arses out there, and we have to populate other worlds that are suitable for us. And another bonus to doing anything like that, or even just simply creating a colony on the moon. If a virus pandemic threatens all life on Earth, or if a massive asteroid was on a collision course with the Earth and there's can't do nothing about it, an extinction level event, the super flare from the sun as depicted in the movie Knowing, um, mind you, the super flare from the sun will probably take out the moon as well, so you're going to have to go a bit further than that to escape a super flare from the sun. Um, setting up other colonies elsewhere would be a good idea to help avoid us going extinct in the future, is what I'm trying to say. Good idea. So let's get our arses off this planet and out into space. Space exploration has to be a big thing, and not just reserved to the realm of sci-fi movies. So regarding the movie Interstellar, I really didn't get it to begin, along with a lot of other people. I didn't get it to begin with. I watched it again, I watched it a third time, I watched it a fourth time. I had to watch a few documentaries from some of the people that made the movie. They explained some of the background details. Eventually, I got it. The the latter part of the movie and the ending in particular, does require a bit of mental grasping before you finally get it. So all kinds of complicated discussions regarding black holes and the slowing down of time and fourth dimensions, fourth dimensional travel, fifth dimensional travel. Yeah, it can get a bit mind warping. Get your head around it. And that's pretty much what I wanted to say in this vlog, really. So go watch Interstellar again and watch out for the moment where Michael Caine says, "We're not supposed to save the planet, we're supposed to leave it." See you next time. Off button is, I'll find it one of these days.